Hi everyone. Sorry for the awkward silence. Okay, I think we're on. Hi everyone, GM. This is J Bond, and we are live at Cooking with BondCake. And today is a very special episode because we are joined by a very special guest. We are proud to have Forbes for today. But before we get on to our conversations, I'd like to invite you all to like this space. I'll pull up the link to our space. Like the space, retweet, and invite your friends to come over and listen to everything that we'll be discussing with Forbes for the day. So there's a lot of alpha that may be shared for today. So I'd like to invite you all to ask your friends to come over if they're not doing anything in a Wednesday evening if you're in Asia, or a Wednesday morning if you're in the US. So without further ado, I'd like to pass on the mic to my co host, Pancake, for a quick introduction of cooking with BondCake.
Hi everyone. So thanks for tuning in to Cooking with BondCake. Cooking with BondCake is our weekly show every Wednesday 10 p.m. SGT, and this show has been featuring some of the top builders in the space like Bored and Hungry, Doodles, Pixelmon, Pudgy Penguins, World of Women, Yuga Labs Gaming, Arts Dao Fest, Persona, and Quirkies. And today we're very proud to be joined by ForbesWeb3. So, J Bond, could you introduce to us who our esteemed guest from Forbes is?
All right, thanks for that, Pancake. Well, I believe that we will be joined today by Manny Patel from the Forbes Web3 team. I'd like to confirm if this is really Manny who's behind the account. All right, thumbs up there. Hi, Manny. Welcome to Cooking with BondCake. How are you today?
Hi, everybody. I am doing great. I'm calling from the US, so it is 10 a.m. here. My day just started, and what a great way to start then with the spaces with both of you. Javon and Pancake, thank you so much for having us on. The Forbes team is very, very excited. And I'm not going to lie, I already had breakfast, but just by looking at your feed and looking at all of the stuff that's coming on, I'm already getting hungry, guys. So I think we're getting ready for a second breakfast here. But thanks so much for this opportunity. We're really excited to dive in deep on what we're building and just have a great discussion.
Thanks, Manny. We're super happy to have you here. Thank you for taking time to be with us so we'd learn more about Forbes Web3 and what you're building. So to start off, we'd like to know more about you, Manny. So could you tell us more about yourself and how did you end up leading Forbes Web3?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone that entered into the Web3 space, we didn't know that this is where we were going to end up, right? Because we all sort of had like this vision of what we were going to go into when we were younger, or we were in college, or even in our careers. And then blockchain tech just took over and Web3 took over. And here we all are from all these different backgrounds. And that's exactly what happened to myself as well. I studied engineering. I spent my whole life thinking I was going to practice engineering, and I realized quite early on in my career that this isn't my thing. I'm a decent engineer, but I know that there's something much more that I'm just a better fit at. And that was a moment that sunk in because I did my bachelor's in engineering, I did my master's in engineering. So then after 6 years of studying, to decide that, hey, I'm kind of going to pivot, like I need to pivot, I can't, this is not what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life. That was definitely like a internal growth moment for me to even make that realization, to come to acceptance with it and then move forward. And really, business was my calling. My friend and I, we started our own company. It took a lot of trial and error, but eventually ended up becoming a very successful business. It was in the art space, in the digital art space, and we both discovered NFTs at that time. And like a lot of folks in this industry, we had like this eureka moment, this light bulb moment. We both felt obsessed with Web3, the community, the fact that we were building best friends with people that we had never even seen, and we don't even know their real names, but here we are. The emotions are real, the conversations are real. And so my friend and I, we both sold our company. we both went into the Web3 space. He went the VC route where he started funding companies and building projects from scratch. And I knew there was going to come a time when legacy brands were going to enter into this space. And so I went the route of more helping Web2 companies enter into Web3. And when the opportunity with Forbes came about, talking to them, understanding their vision, I joined a little under 2 years ago, and the official role was VP of Web3. We built an entire team from the ground up, all in house, fully dedicated to the Forbes ecosystem. And here we are. It's been a great ride so far.
That is amazing to hear. Thanks for sharing that, Manny. And I'm very pleased to hear your story. And I didn't expect that when we were thinking about like asking that kind of question. Like from engineering all the way to Web3, not even Web3, from engineering all the way to building your own business and now to being in Web3. That's like non-traditional path that's being taken from an engineering standpoint. And I guess the lesson here is that obviously you pave your own path. And I'm very pleased to see that you did that for yourself. And I think a lot of people in Web3 also trying to do that in their own way. So thank you for being an inspiration for us. And I hope that more people will pave their own path like what you did. So speaking of
I
Forbes, yeah. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I appreciate that so much, Jay Bond. And while you were speaking, that really reminded me. It's like I don't know how it is in other countries. I was born in India, but I've lived most of my life in the U.S. And in both of these countries, really the way that education is set up is like even in high school, you're kind of like set to know what you want to do the rest of your life, right? And what you study in college is going to be that thing that you are going to dedicate the next 40 years to. And I just don't think that's how the real world works. I think the greatest leaders, the greatest people that I've ever met, that I've been inspired by, they have the wonkiest stories. They have the craziest ups and downs. We all have had plenty of downs. And we don't talk about that enough. And so I feel very fortunate that I've been able to have like the zigzag career that got me to where I am today. And I think that's what's so special about Web3. I think everyone that's building in this space, they have also had like not this clear path, they've had like this little wonky path, but they are in this ecosystem now, which is just so special and so unique.
I agree with that. And thanks for sharing that. Like I just like to say, if it's not known to everyone, like I am from the Philippines, Pancake is also from the Philippines, so we're from a third world country. And similarly to what you've shared, like if you took on college education, there's certain level of expectation that this will be the career path that you'll be taking. But I guess what Web3 opened our eyes into is here you can be what you want to be or what you pave yourself to be. There's no path laid for you. It's up for you to draw that because like this is a new thing. This is something that we're all building just now. And I think there's a lot of opportunities there to be able to craft your own way and not like just follow what others did before you. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I think you've inspired a lot of our listeners today. And I guess going to Forbes, it's also very interesting to hear a legacy brand, like you mentioned, Forbes is a legacy brand joining Web3. So that's definitely one of the things that I think a lot of the people here in the audience are very curious to. So we're curious to hear as to why Forbes is now joining Web3 and what potential are you guys seeing in Web3?
100%. And Jayvon, while we're speaking, is it cool if I pin some stuff up here just as reference as we're talking?
Sure. Yes, please.
Awesome. So Forbes has been around for a while. Like we our founding year is 1917, and I was talking about this with some friends earlier today, so I'll share it and pin it on this chat. This is Forbes' first ever magazine cover in 1917, and I think one thing that the company has always stayed very true to is we've always really focused on innovation and disruption. Like we love the outliers, we love the misfits, we love the people that have paved their own way and created just some incredible products and technologies for the world to really help us advance. And we too pivoted as a brand because we started in print. And then the digital world came, everything became online. And so we pivoted to digital. We went where the world wanted us to be. And now in 2024, we're in the top 50 most visited sites in the world, right? Like, think about the power of Forbes.com, just that one URL and that domain. And so, as a brand that has really always celebrated human progress, we've always celebrated technological advancements. Of course, Web3 is going to be part of that story. What folks may not know is we've actually been writing about Web3 for almost a decade now. So, writing about Bitcoin, writing about cryptocurrencies and blockchain tech and the metaverse and NFTs and collectors and artists, that we have been covering for quite some time on both our website as well as our magazine. But what Forbes decided a couple of years ago is we are now going to go even harder. We're going to go all in. And one of the best ways to get deep in the Web3 ecosystem is being part of the community, being part of the people and the culture. And so that's when we created Forbes Web3, this entire in house initiative and campaign that we're so excited about. And this is really our dedication to the space and our focus on value add to Web3 and see how we can help really move the needle for mass adoption.
Wow, so seeing from the tweet that you pinned, Forbes has really come a long way from 1917. And in different platforms, Forbes has been empowering people from print to web. So with this, we'd like to know, what's your long-term vision for Forbes in Web3?
I think at the very foundation, like, our number one thing is going to be to ensure that we're always adding value to this space. Now, a lot of our team members, so we have like 10 full-time team members just dedicated to Web3. Like, this is what we focus on full time within Forbes. And a lot of us are kind of like degens ourselves, right? Like, we all have our own backgrounds. Myself personally, I've been collecting NFTs and trading, and I've been living on Telegram and Discord and Twitter for the past 4 or 5 years. And a lot of my colleagues are the exact same way. And if they aren't just yet, they've like really transitioned into the Web3 ecosystem. One way that we've really been adding Web3 inside of Forbes, even outside of editorial, has been just integrating it into our company. So, one example is we now have like all these dedicated Slack channels just for Web3 news and happenings. We have a channel where anyone that wants to learn about more Web3 that is a Forbes employee, like, hop on there and we will be sharing information on what's happening. We also, whenever we release any products that are Web3 oriented, we give like these special award badges, like NFT badges, to the Forbes employees that kind of help us like beta test it and give feedback. And that's one way that we are gifting them NFTs to get incorporated into the space, right? We also hosted like this metaverse event, and we gave a lot of our employees like all Forbes merch for their digital avatars in the metaverse. So they were all rocking like these Forbes sweatshirts and sweatpants, and they were so excited. And so I think if we're going to like talk the talk publicly, it's so important that internally as a brand, you are fully in this and you're fully committed as well. And that's why I share some of the examples of how we're making sure that the internal group at our company is very much embedded into this ecosystem. When we think about external, like, what are we offering to the people? What are we offering to the community? Value add is our biggest focus. And that's something that we talk about in pretty much every meeting, every deck, anything that we even present to the CEO and the executive team. Value add are like two words that we really emphasize. And I think that's what the space needs right now. I think, as someone that's been in the space for 4 or 5 years, we've seen a lot of brands come and go, and we've seen a lot of brands enter into the space in very unique ways. And one decision we made very early on is, in an ecosystem where the people are the foundation, and the culture and their needs and their thoughts and what they want out of you as a brand is the stepping stone. That means that we now are creating together. We are now building together. In the traditional world, you create a product and then you announce it and release it and see what feedback you get. But in Web3, we're all building in public. We're all building together. Even the Legacy Pass, the project that we've created, our biggest one yet, it is all around the community. These are all benefits that we curated just by getting feedback from the community. So those are some of the biggest things that we're focused on right now.
Thanks for sharing that, Manny. And it's really amazing to see that you guys are diving into Web3 deep, like not just Forbes, but also the team. And it's refreshing to see that you guys have exposure to Web3 in your own ways and also exposing the company to it. one step at a time. So really amazing to see that, and I hope that you guys continue doing that. We've seen, like you mentioned, we've seen a lot of brands come and go in Web3, and a lot of these brands have been accused of like grifting or just coming in to extract value. So I really like what you mentioned in terms of adding value. I think a lot of the people in Web3 believe that for you to succeed in Web3, you need to add value versus extract value. You need to add more value than what you extract. And I think that's been a recurring theme here in this space. And I'm really glad to hear that you guys are also believing in that. And I think just to also harp on the point that you guys are really getting into Web3, we've seen that Forbes has been collecting a lot of Grail NFTs and art NFTs left and right, from Kevin to a lot of these NFTs that we know and love, to even generative art. Like Dr. Crypto DM'd me while we were doing the space earlier, like in the earlier part of the space, that you've bought one of his generative art from BTC. So could you tell us about the thought process that you have in terms of like acquiring these NFTs for Forbes Vault?
Absolutely. The Forbes Vault was an idea we came up with a few months ago, and it has easily become one of my favorite projects because I think for us to truly get embedded into Web3, we need to have our own vault, right? Like we need to have our own collection where we're just collecting and holding and really sharing what we're proud to have. And right now, we're in discussions with a couple of galleries because the goal is that one day we're going to have a lot of our collection pieces on display, and we can have an event around it, invite the artists, invite the creators and the brands, and really just have an evening of celebration of how far digital assets has come. But yeah, to this date, in just the last 4 or 5 months, Forbes has acquired 20 NFTs, and we've acquired one, and our first ordinal, which is pinned up top by Dr. Crypto. It's a beautiful piece that I'm obsessed with. Ordinals is such a fun community. Our chief growth officer is actually on his way right now to Ordinals Asia to give a talk in Hong Kong, and I'm very very jealous. He's gonna have a great time. But yeah, I think when it comes to like how are you deciding what to collect, it's important first and foremost to just have fun. Like art speaks to everyone in so many different ways, and instead of like overthinking and like looking at metrics and floor price, our approach has really been like our team members. Do they love the art? Do they love the brand? Do they love the founders? Is it something that just speaks to us visually? Those have really been like the basic questions that we ask ourselves when we do make an acquisition. And the goal here is to hold, right? Like this is staying in the vault forever. It is staying with Forbes Web3 forever. And our collections have very much ranged in sizes. They have been everything from emerging artists, artists that really have not been recognized too much just yet, but we think their art is incredible, their story is incredible, and they deserve a sort of a stepping stone. One of my favorite pieces is actually by Jimena. She's an incredible female artist that we collected a base NFT from a couple months ago. She's part of the CryptoPunks community, and after meeting her and under her hearing her story, I think we were all very captivated. And so supporting emerging artists at a very minimum is going to be the foundation of everything we do. And then we have a lot of fun NFTs as well, such as the incredible Kevin from Pixelmon. We love Kevin because Kevin is a character that had a comeback. Kevin is a character that's always silly, always goofy. So whenever we see Kevin in our vault as we're scrolling through our wallet, he's just a great reminder of how life is all about having fun, right? Some other artists that we've collected from are Jack Butcher, Nakamigos, Mochaverse, and there's several others. But I can't wait to see how this vault really grows. And I can't wait till the day that all of these pieces are going to be displayed in a gallery and we can all just celebrate together.
Thanks for sharing that, Manny. It's so cool that Forbes has its own digital vault, and it shows how integrated Forbes is really into Web3 and how diverse the pieces are in the vault, like not just mainstream NFTs, but also supporting emerging artists. It's really empowering a lot of people right now. So a while ago, you also mentioned the Forbes Legacy Pass. This is the 1917 soul-bound passes curated for movers and shakers in Web3. So what's the idea behind this membership pass?
That's a great question, and I do apologize. There was a lag on my side at the beginning. We really thought about like how can Forbes make an impact in a positive way in Web3. And what we realize is I think Forbes should really stick to being authentic to who we are, what we have become masters at. And what Forbes has become a master at in the last 100 years is really championing and amplifying and exposing the builders and creators that have truly left a mark in this world, in whatever ecosystem they are in, whether it's in art, whether it's in tech, whether it's just like building on the blockchain. If if there are people that are just doing some incredible work in this space, like Forbes wants to recognize them. And one of the easiest ways that we can do that is really by having this like curated community where we bring everybody together and we build together and grow together along with all of these benefits. So that's really where the Forbes Legacy Pass came about. It is a soulbound token. It is a membership club, and there's only 1917 passes. That is really to celebrate our founding year. And the storytelling is quite simple. Through this pass, you are accessing a curated network, and you are also getting access to all of these benefits that we've never had before. And I'm excited to dive into the benefits because they've been very strategically designed and curated, and it's really been cool seeing it all come about.
All right, let's do this. Since you mentioned that you're excited to jump in the benefits of owning a Forbes Legacy Pass, let's ask that next. What are some of the perks that we can expect from owning Forbes Legacy Pass?
Oh, there's a lot of them, guys. So let me find the right tweet to pin, but buckle up, grab a drink because it is definitely a stacked list. Let me just find it here really quickly.
Sure, no worries. Take your time. And while Manny is finding the right tweet to pull up, I hope you guys are having fun. We're still a long way to go from having this space over. So if you have some more friends who could, join and learn from our fruitful conversation so far, I hope you can invite them to come over.
So we just shared the pin for all of the benefits, and this is something that the team kind of like worked on curating for quite some time. And I think we should just start one by one, have a moment for each of them. But the first one, which is my personal favorite one, it's the Your Name in the Forbes magazine. And this is an idea that the team had so much fun coming up with. I think we got a little too crazy with it because a lot of us, like we grew up like wanting to be entrepreneurs, right? We grew up wanting to build something and have it recognized. And whenever we're walking in the grocery aisle or the bookstore, we would see the Forbes magazine. We would see the people on the cover. We would see the people that are mentioned in there. And I think for my like younger self, like that entrepreneurial bug, this is the coolest benefit in my eyes. So we are printing every single person's name in the physical Forbes magazine that's going out in 2024. This is the same magazine that's going to be sold worldwide. It's going to be in every bookstore, every executive lounge, every single newsstand, you name it, it's going to be there, and your name is going to be printed on there. And our magazines are quite limited. We don't do monthlies, we do not do weeklies, we only do 6 a year. And so just the fact that we have never done this before and we're going to roll it out with the Web3 community is going to be epic. A couple of notes on here is to really celebrate Web3 and just the fact that not all of us are doxxed. And a lot of us even resonate more with our Twitter handle name or like the secondary name or the nickname that we have in this space. This real estate is open for our holders to use however they want. So, whatever name they want to use, whatever they want to use to really recognize themselves, you will have that opportunity. Whether it's your real name or your Anon name or whatever nickname you want to go with, that is your spot. And the way this is going to work is after the mint, we're basically going to give you a token gated form and we'll be giving you sort of a field, a short text box field to type in exactly how you would want the name printed. And that's how we're going to make it work. It's going to be such a special moment. One of the other ones is called Get Backed by Forbes Web3. We created this really for the entrepreneur, the builder, the creator in the space that's working on a project. And the idea behind this benefit is there's a lot of people that are building in this space, right? And Forbes has spent a lot of time and effort, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on creating partnerships and creating like this really strong network. We've been on so many calls last year with like the top Web3 brands, the top entrepreneurs, the top creators from almost every single vertical, from marketplaces to DeFi to SocialFi to even events management. We have a lot of friends and a lot of partners in all verticals in Web3, to the point now where we want to open up all of Forbes's resources to our holders. So if our holders are working on any project, any idea where they need support, they need advising, they need a connection or two from us, like we're opening that up for our holders. And this is one of the reasons why we also decided to make this pass soul bound. So then instead of having to worry about where that pass is going to go, which hands it's going to transition into, we can really focus on these specific holders and build with them and grow with them. I'll name a few quick other ones. We are going to do access to curated artist drops. So only if you are a holder of the Legacy Pass will you have these exclusive accesses to artist drops that we're doing in partnership with world-renowned artists. And we announced the first artist is going to be Arto, the Ordinal's generative master who created Flora Forbes. And that's going to be such a special moment. We had a call a couple weeks ago to check in. He was sharing with us the idea, the creative storytelling, how he's gathering all the data. Art on the blockchain is so special, and I cannot wait to share what he has been coming up with. It's really cool. One more is the voting rights for the Forbes list. This is new. We've never done this before, but Forbes is famous for their lists, right? Like we're known for under 30, we're known for Forbes 400, we're known for blockchain 50, and now for the first time ever, if you are a holder, you're actually going to collaborate with the Forbes team for a new list that is coming out this year. So you will have voting rights on who makes this list. It's going to be 25 recognized categories, and it's a mix of both companies and individuals. So a mix of both brands and individuals. And now as a holder, you get to work with our editorial team to really decide who deserves to make this list. And this list is going to sit next to every single list that we have on our website. So there's a lot of power to it. Like this is how you can really make a direct impact on who gets recognized and who gets that exposure. And I think this is as Web3 as it can get, right? Like this is true decentralization. This is true equal quality rights. And the fact that we can even bring one thing that we are so well known for into the Web3 ecosystem is just awesome. And last, actually, two more. It's stacked, guys. I wasn't kidding. One more is the Forbes Premium subscription and newsletter. The newsletter specifically is a crypto-oriented newsletter. It is called the Blockchain Advisor newsletter, and it is actually one of our most prominent newsletters in the entire company. On its own, traditionally it's $500 USD per year, but for our holders, they are going to get it for free. And then the last but not least are the events. The events are the true alpha, guys. Anyone that has been to an event and really connected with the people there, the relationships you build there are going to last forever. So there's two buckets of events. One is the ticket to the Under 30 Summit. And no, there is no age limit to the summit. Everybody from every age around the world shows up to this summit. And it's not your average conference. There's a private concert, there's pitch competitions, there's a culinary experience. Last year, there was a pub crawl. There's like all these additional things that happen at this summit that really bring people together and just have the best time. The last couple years included private concerts by Halsey and Jack Harlow. There was a pitch competition by Bad Bunny. There were A-list speakers from Silicon Valley to art and music and movies. So you really get to see like this diverse group. And this is a great summit where the Web3 community and the Web2 community really, really merge. And that ticket traditionally just bought on its own on Forbes.com is $3,000 USD. So if you are a holder of this pass, that is a VIP ticket that we are giving to you for absolutely free. But we're not stopping there. In real life events are truly a special moment. And so what we realized is we want to connect with our holders more in person. And even before we're doing this mint, we've already hosted a lot of inner circle parties across the world. We did 7 events at NFT NYC. We did 2 events in Dubai, and we are doing 2 additional events at Consensus. And the Consensus one is going to be the first one that we're going to open up specifically for our holders. Some of the other events we're planning are London Freeze in November. We're going to be at Art Basel Miami in December, Token 2049 Singapore in September, and there are a couple more that we're looking at right now. So these are experiences that we're so excited to ramp up. And I'm going to take a breather there because that was a lot. But I'm pinning up some of the latest events that we had just so the community and the audience can see here.
That was great, Manny. And take all the time you need for a breather. Just wanted to, I guess, touch on a few points that you mentioned there. So, really great to see some of the benefits and perks that you listed. And for me, as an entrepreneur in the space who's been building with Bored and Hungry and obviously Made by Apes. And I think we were in one space where we talked about this, where the Get Back by Forbes was actually quite inspired by the Made by Apes of Bored Ape Yacht Club. So really cool to see that inspiration coming to life here. And obviously, as a builder, this is something that I'll have to look into right now after hearing all of the perks and benefits that you mentioned. So yeah, thanks for detailing that out for us. And I'm sure Pancake has more thoughts about what you've just said.
Yeah, thank you so much, Manny, for sharing us the benefits of the Forbes Legacy Pass. I think with what you've shared, we all are very bullish and want to get our hands on the Legacy Pass. Like my favorite too is your name in the Forbes magazine. I think it's a great perk and a dream for a lot of people, and for entrepreneurs, it's an advantage to be backed up by Forbes as support. And for everyone to be invited in the summit, it's a great network to connect with builders and even see your favorite artists. Also, you mentioned that the Legacy Pass is an access to holders for the Forbes exclusive network. So, we saw really great individuals in this list. Could you share how you ended up selecting these people, and will there be more additions in the inner circle?
Yeah, absolutely. And to Bond's point earlier, the made by apes inspiration, that is very true. Like the get backed by Forbes benefit, we drew a lot of inspiration from other communities, but then also what our community members were DMing us. We were getting frequent DMs by folks asking, can Forbes support us? Can Forbes advise us? Can we even use the Forbes logo on the pitch deck? Right? Like you got to appreciate the courage. And I think that's what made us realize like, yeah, we actually do want to help our community like grow both on a personal and professional level. But in order to do that, you got to have focus, right? Like how can you make this sustainable? And I think having a community, especially a soulbound community, will allow us to do exactly that, where you could have like this tunnel vision where you can just focus and kind of have a sight only on the holders. That's really been our approach. The inner circle, for those that don't know, these are about 60 leaders in the Web3 space that we are just very inspired by. And we wanted to make sure that we covered a lot of different pockets of Web3. So we have everything from content creators to artists to patron of the arts to NFT brand founders to blockchain protocol CEOs, to DeFi, to SocialFi, you name it. And I think that's really important because we forget how big Web3 truly is and how many incredible things are happening in this space. And really, we see the Legacy Pass as an extension of that. All remainder slots of the inner circle are only going to be given to our Legacy Pass holders. And in this cohort, in this 1917 cohort, are we really going to find like those next trailblazers that are going to make that movement and mass adoption for Web3 that the ecosystem very much deserves?
Thank you for clarifying to us like how you ended up selecting the inner circle. And we've been looking at the list. I think this list is pretty solid. I think I've seen some comments on my feed before when you were announcing the inner circle that it's like the Avengers of Web3. I found that really funny. And that's also, I guess, a kudos to you guys for being able to put up such a stacked network with the inner circle. And I think it's exciting for everyone who will be owning a Forbes Legacy Pass to be able to access these people as part of the Forbes Legacy Pass community. So obviously, some big names here. I pinned your tweet as well with some of the names. there. We actually hosted Shannon here before with World of Women. So she's also part of the list. Obviously, we're seeing Roham, Lucanets, etc. Being part of the list. So a lot of big names from the Web3 space there. So now we're curious. How do you plan to involve the inner circle in growing the Forbes Legacy Pass community moving forward?
Yeah, well, what is interesting is what we try to make sure people are very much aware of is this isn't like a KOL kind of relationship. And I think if you ask like any of our inner circle members, like they'll happily share with you what the experience was of when we invited them, when we started getting on calls with them, and what everything looked like before we even announced them publicly yet, right? And the reason Forbes launched the inner circle is because it is so true to our brand. Like we've spent 100 years championing folks that have truly made a difference in the space. And so the inner circle was like our way of doing that for the Web3 space. And I'll give a background on like really how we built this out in private when we first started this initiative back in December of 2023. Really, the team internally, we had a list of about 200, 250 people that we were just like spitballing and putting names out on like, hey, here's who we think would be some great contenders. And to make sure that we weren't having tunnel vision, we also reached out to a lot of our friends in the space. Remember, a lot of us have been in this space for the past 4 or 5 years, right? So we have a lot of friends and partners that we have built like trusted relationships with, just to like get some insight on like, are there any other additional folks that Forbes should consider? Are there any other people that we should really look into, that we should have a conversation with? And eventually from there, we had like this 200, 250 list of names. And boy, it is a lot of one-on-one calls. Basically, we either went directly to that person or we went directly to their team, and we had individual one-on-one calls with every single one of them. And the conversations were very organic. We really just had one goal, and it was for us to properly understand what have they built in this space so far and where do they plan to go in Web3. So the questions were really more about introducing yourself, understanding your personal life, your personal journey. What have you accomplished in your brand and as an entrepreneur or a builder or an artist in the space? And where do you plan to go in 2024? We also asked like just very random questions in this call, like what NFTs are you collecting? And is there anything that's in the Web3 ecosystem that you're excited about? Because I think that also kind of lets you understand who that person is, right? Like these aren't like typical like professional questions, but I think these are important questions for us to really understand who that person is and what they believe in. And we thought at the end of it, we were going to have 100 spots, but eventually we actually had closer to like 50 to 60. We killed that 250 list down to 50 to 60. And the invites for all Inner Circle members were sent through email. We sent an email if they confirmed. We gave them an application form, not an application form, but a form to submit. The form just asked very basic questions like your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your title, because all of these folks were getting spotlighted on Forbes.com. And after that form was completed, we confirmed their position and we went from there. Every single one of them was aware that Forbes was working on a project in the background called the Legacy Pass. But something that I think people may not properly understand is like there's really no contracts, there's no like proper agreements here. And a few inner circle members did ask, can we help in any way with the Legacy Pass? And our positioning has really just been whatever support they want to give. And I think that's super super important because we've seen brands in the past extract value or utilize KOLs in a very specific way, and that is absolutely not what we want to do here. We have two very simple goals. We want to celebrate people that have made an impact in Web3, and that is the folks in the inner circle. And to expand on that, we want to open this up to the Legacy Pass, which is curated to even a broader group, but still a curated group that we can continue this story with. And so, with the inner circle, really the conversations were very organic, and it's been really cool seeing how it all came about.
Thanks for that, Manny. So it looks like onboarding people in the inner circle was really a long and thorough process. But I'm glad that these builders were very supportive to the Legacy Pass. So going more diving deep into the Legacy Pass, we see that the waitlist has now been opened. Could you share to us like how the waitlist will be selected and more details about the upcoming mint, like when will it be and how much?
Absolutely. So we launched a wait list for anyone that is interested in learning more about the Legacy Pass and getting access to it. And we knew that we wanted to go an application route, even for the allow list, because if we're going to create like this curated community where we really build and get to know our holders in as much detail that they would like us to, we want to make sure that we create a personalized but still a very diverse experience with all the holders that we're bringing in. And so the wait list, it's definitely surpassed what we originally had in mind. It's at over 100,000 waitlist signups right now, and all those folks are getting emails as we speak with the application link to apply to gain their chance to join and be part of the Legacy Pass. The Legacy Pass is minting late May at 0.33 ETH, and the application is open just for another 2 weeks. So the team is working overtime. We have received thousands of applications and we're reviewing every single one of them, and we're getting very inspired by these responses. Some quick notes that I really want to emphasize is we are not looking for perfection. We are not looking for any sort of elitist kinds of profiles. We are really looking for the authentic you and who you are at your core. Where are you in your journey on a personal and professional level? And just introduce yourself, right? Like, what are some things that are exciting for you? I think the what I would recommend to folks is when you see these questions, when you read these couple of questions, the first thought that comes to your mind, just type it out. That is it. Don't worry about the proper punctuation of the grammar. Just the first thought that comes, that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to read. And the two ways to get access to this application is one, through that wait list, which is a long wait list. So the second way is we've created some VIP codes, some partnership codes to some of our favorite people and brands in the Web3 space, and we've handed them out to them. And J-Bond and Pancake, I'd love to have discuss the opportunity of providing a few also to the Cooking with BondCake community. And so this will basically allow you to have a direct form that you could give to your top loyal community members that show interest, a few selected ones, and that we can create a special VIP experience for them. I think that would be a very fun time.
Thank you for that. I think that would be very interesting. We are very excited to see how we can distribute that potentially to our fans and community. And thank you for just offering that to us. And we're very excited to also potentially be part of the Legacy Pass community. So that's something that we're very excited for. So apart from the Legacy Pass, obviously we've heard a lot of alpha on it, and I don't know why anyone who's here in the audience wouldn't want to mint it. But you have been in Web3 for quite some time, and I know that you guys at Forbes have been cooking a lot of stuff in Web3. We see that you guys have partnerships with the likes of Animoca Open Campus. And if I remember it correctly, we were on a space last week with ApeCoin. So there are a lot of things where you guys are present in. So could you tell us more, like, how have you been collaborating with more projects in the space, and how do you see Forbes being more involved with more projects moving forward?
Yeah, I think Forbes having their finger on the pulse, like being very deep in the crypto native community, is always going to be at a minimum what we do. And we all understand this, right? Like Web3 moves so fast, there's always so much happening. And if we are going to position ourselves as a leader in Web3, it's very important that we are deeply engraved in everything that is going on. We even hosted a 404 protocol dinner at NFT NYC, which I don't think a lot of people would have expected, right? But I think that just like goes to show that we go where the builders are, and it doesn't matter where they are, but our job is going to be to really find them and grow and support them. So there's two projects, Javon, that you just shared that I'll emphasize a bit more. We did just finish an OC 100 contest with Animoca Brands and a nonprofit named Open Campus. And the idea really here was to recognize 100 content creators in the Web3 space across all different types of verticals, from art to gaming to sustainability to blockchain, that are using their voice, using their platform to really bring Web3 education to the masses. And this was a 3-month campaign. This wasn't any sort of low lift, right? We've been working on it for quite some time, and now we're kind of at the end stages of it. But just to see how it all came about, what the impact that it really made was something that is really important to us. And I'll share one of the tweets from this. But I think this goes to show that Forbes did this because I think education is a really important part of what we do, and really recognizing folks that are using their platform for education in the space is something that really hits home for us. And then the second thing is we also started doing these bi-weekly spaces with ApeCoin. This was an invitation by their community that we're totally down for. And the focus is very simple. The Ape community is very special. It's filled with entrepreneurs. It's filled with builders. It's filled with people that want to make their own track, that they want to make their own path, and that excites us. As an ape holder myself, like, I understand how special that community is. I also understand that right now, as we speak, that the ape community is going through a transition. It's trying to refine its spot in this ecosystem, and with that, it has our support. So the ApeCoin DAO, what we really do is every week we meet up on Twitter Spaces. We talk to apes and what projects they're building, and we have like this open discussion of how DAOs can really be utilized to unlock the potential of a brand, and how coming together with all other fellow apes, we can sort of build and have these interesting conversations together as well. We've done a lot of stuff like this. We are One of our first things that we did in January was an art contest with Rarible to recognize emerging artists, and in 2 weeks, we received almost 3,000 applications. We gave out a ton of financial grants. The top winners had their art displayed at the Times Square billboard during NFT NYC. And so things like this are always going to be a core part of what we do. Also, they're just so fun. Like, you forget that this is called to work. So it's a good part of what we do. And I think this is actually also a really good example of what that get backed by Forbes benefit looks like, because we want to continue doing campaigns and projects like this, but we are absolutely now going to be in a position where we want to give priority to our holders and what communities they are a part of.
That's great, Manny. So, with what you've shared, I think Forbes is taking the right direction by having great partners like Animoca Brands, Open Campus, and ApeCoin DAO. And even in this partnership campaign, you're empowering creators and builders in Web3 through education. So, we'd like to know more about Forbes Web3. So, aside from the Legacy Pass, what more can we expect from Forbes in the near future? And will there be an opportunity for people to join the Forbes Web3 community even if they miss out on the mint?
Great question. I think the candid, honest question, which may not be the politically correct question answer, is like, we will absolutely have tunnel vision and just immediate focus on the Legacy Pass community. Like, we've done a lot so far, right? Like, all the brands that we've collaborated with, all the projects that we've done, it's really been expanded throughout the entire Web3 ecosystem. But after mint, especially a soul-bound mint, we owe 110% of our attention and time and resources and planning for our holders and what the community is expected to build. And that's important, right? Because they've invested in us, and so we're going to invest in them. And so for a good time, Pancake, our focus, it's going to be very much just on the Legacy Pass community. And that's not to say that, look, like, we're going to say no to outside opportunities. I think it just depends on, is it a fit with what we're doing with our holders? Does our community, why not have the community vote on, hey, here's this external opportunity that we can do. How does the holders feel about this? And should Forbes Web3 kind of help pivot into this initiative? But for the short answer, it's definitely going to be very much focused on our holders, and I'm excited for that, because now, instead of looking at all of Web3, we can kind of concentrate just on our community, those that have invested in us, those that are growing with us, and we can say, hey, what are some really cool things we can do together? And I want Forbes to, like, Forbes is so ready to get even more degen than what we already are. Like, we want crazy ideas, we want crazy suggestions, because I think that's truly where the magic happens.
Thank you for that, Manny. And I think that's such a great answer in terms of like community building. At the moment, Forbes doesn't really have a community to report to or to make sure that it thrives. But that will change the moment that you guys mint the legacy pass, and it's a soul-bound token, and a lot of these people who will be getting these NFTs will be part of your community forever, kind of. So it's your responsibility technically to make sure that they get the benefits that they signed up for and more. And we've seen that from a lot of the great builders in the space. They've been ultra focused in terms of delivering value for their community. That's it. And if there would be like any outside opportunities, obviously they're open to it. But at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of their community. So I think you guys have been really killing it with what you guys are planning with the Legacy Pass, and I commend you for that. And I'm really excited to see how this community shapes up. I think it's becoming one of the more exciting newer communities that's being formed in Web3. So kudos to you and the team for spearheading this. I have one. Yeah, sure.
Thanks so much, Javon. No, no, I thank you. I appreciate your words. This has been a long time coming. Those people that do know Forbes on a personal level, we've been building all of 2023 in silence. Was just studying the market and building this out and coming together and coming public very strong. So it's a great place to be in now, where we're being very public and we can share what we've been spending all of our time and efforts creating. And it's a very special time in our journey as well.
Thank you. And I'm really excited to see where you guys are going to next. And I'm really excited for everyone who are in the audience, or maybe even us here in the stage, who will be part of the Legacy Pass community. So can't wait for that. Definitely going to be one of the more exciting mints for the month of May. I have one final question. So we've talked about Forbes, we've talked about the Legacy Pass, we've talked about how you ended up in Forbes and all the things that you guys are doing at Forbes. But I guess one interesting question, to a personal one at that, what's your favorite NFT that you own since you've been collecting NFTs? Manny, what's your favorite NFT?
Oh man, that is Javon. That is like, for any collector, that's like asking what's your favorite song or your favorite movie. Come on now. I've noticed as I've grown, my taste has grown as well. Like I go through different phases of what very much interests me. Like in 2021, all I was collecting was PFPs, right? Like the rest of the world. But as I've sort of grown, I've started to figure out like what speaks to me on a deeper level. So there's a couple of things that I'm really interested in at the moment. Right now, I'm just very much gravitated towards photography NFTs with AI elements added to it. I think it's just really, really interesting. And a lot of the artists that are creating in that space are very exciting. There's an artist named Richard Zhang. He's only 16 years old, and he's one of the first photographers that I collected from. And he actually had his artwork on display in the SpaceX shuttle. So his art actually got in outer space, which was the coolest thing. And I can't believe he's only 16. He's making me feel really old, and it's incredible what the kids these days are coming out with. So photography NFTs are definitely something I'm very focused on. The second one is actually ordinals. I joined the ordinals cabal very happily just a few months ago, so I'm quite new. I'm still learning, but collecting ordinals is addicting, guys. It's like my husband needs to tell me to stop because I can't. I will not stop. I just my PFP right now is a blob, and it's the coolest thing. I just love the art. I think the colors are really, really interesting. And Forbes is getting into ordinals now even more, right? Like we started collecting our own ordinals. Our first curated artist drop for the Legacy Pass holders is Arto, an amazing ordinals artist. And our chief growth officer right now is at Ordinals Asia in Hong Kong to really talk about how Ordinals is going to take over and really make a movement in this space. So those are the two things that are really exciting for me.
Thank you for sharing that, Manny. And I think a lot of people will agree that ordinals have been really exciting, especially this year. I think there's a lot of movement in ordinals this year. A lot of people in Web3 are bullish on Bitcoin and ordinals. And I think we've seen a lot of the newer collections, actually, the hot ones, are coming from the ordinals ecosystem. So can't fade ordinals, and I'm glad. But what I can say though is I'm glad that you've been collecting art in ordinals. I think that's something that's not really as popular as like collecting PFPs or runes in ordinal. So I commend you on that. I guess like at the end of the day, there's no lose when you collect the art you like. So thanks for sharing that. And Manny, thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Cooking with Bond Cake. Really an insightful conversation. I'd like to ask you if you have any final words for the audience today.
Thank you just so much for having us on. It has been an amazing conversation. I really appreciate the time that you, Jamon, and Pancake have taken to get to know us. For our audience, anyone that is applying for the Legacy Pass, we cannot wait to read your story. We cannot wait to read your journey and learn more about you and create some incredible experiences together. Javon, I will send over some sort of code just for a few select of your community members to have access to. But other than that, so excited for what's ahead, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Manny, for taking time to be with us tonight and for sharing what you're cooking at ForbesWeb3. So, the alpha really is to get our hands on the Legacy Pass to have access to all its bullish perks and be part of an amazing community. And for everyone here, thank you for spending your Wednesday evening or morning here with us. So, once again, this is Pancake, your co host for Cooking with Bond Cake. Back to you, J Bond.
And this is Jay Bond, your co-host for Cooking with Bond Cake, and we do this every Wednesday. So we're very thankful for Forbes for being with us for this Wednesday. We'll have another exciting guests lined up for the next few Wednesdays. And apart from Wednesdays, we also do spaces other days of the week when we have guests who are new projects who want to introduce themselves to everyone in Web3. So get to know more projects from the Cooking with Bond Cake account. So make sure you follow the Cooking with Bond Cake account to stay updated to our upcoming spaces. And like what Pancake said and like what Manny said, I thank you all in the audience for joining us today in your evening or in your morning or wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. And I hope to see you again next Wednesday in the next episode of Cooking with Bond Cake. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See you again next week.